Hello gamers, and welcome back to the 9th free-to-play Ultimate Iron Man progress and rambling video. Starting things off, I want to give a huge GZ to Zypher on his first 99, that being range. Huge congrats, dude. Thanks for hosting a great party. Next, I want to give a huge GZ to Zad Kamerad, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, on his 99 mining achievement. Congrats, dude. Lastly, I want to give an absolutely massive GZ to Tanner Dino on his 200 mil attack achievement, being the first free-to-play Iron Man to do so, and being even more awesome because he didn't do any of that through AFK means. Almost all of it being click-intensive hill giants or moss giants. Huge congrats, dude. So the last time you guys saw me, I was working on my goal of using up the bone fragments that I got from killing minotaurs to get some runecrafting levels. Now, I had a couple videos recorded since then of runecrafting, but I seem to have lost them somehow. Essentially, the quick run down is that the bone frags got me to about 77, close to 78 runecrafting. And then from there, I ended up just doing Verak Teleport and Chronicle Canoe Earth runes to get up to 80. Not really much to show there. That's a pretty boring method. But I did end up getting 80 prayer, and from there, without any bone frags left, and really with just the law runes in my inventory, I needed a plan for what I was going to do next, and after giving it some consideration, I kind of have this new overarching goal I'm working now for base 80s. And so with 80 rune crafting, the only skill I have left to do that is prayer. And since I don't want to grow my law rune stack doing melees for prayer, and because I don't want to do boneyard with all this potential risk on me, I decided it was time to really just buckle down and get rid of this law rune stack as fast as I could. And unfortunately, and for those of you who have been watching this series for a little while now, you'll know that I do not like telegrabbing. It is a very click intensive, it is a very stressful, it's overall just, it's not a fun skill to do because you're always looking out for PKers. You're constantly, world hopping, you're clicking, you're not gaining EHP while you do it. And so because of that, it's a method that I've never really liked doing. And so I've always had this mental hurdle that I've had to try and overcome. But since then, I just decided like I was going to give myself 1 month. I was going to, just grind it out as hard as I could. And I was going to see if after doing it for a little while, especially now that I have a bit higher of a combat level than the last time, I figured I was going to give it a try and see what I thought. So this method I'm doing right now is a little different from your usual telegrabbing because this is the North Island 4 spawn strategy. Now, essentially, when people usually telegrab, they're usually on the southern side of the Wildy Island, or sorry, the southern side of the Nature Rune Wildy Island. And that way you're getting both of the nature rune spawns. So for each 2 law runes, you're getting 7 nature runes or 3.5 nature runes per law rune. So when I got here, I realized that if I were to do the both of the rune spawns, I would get just under 91 smithing. And if I did the 4 rune spawn only, then I would get above 91 smithing. And because I'm a little OCD when it comes to like my levels and like where I leave things off, I wanted to have, just end it off on a nice level. I didn't want to have to constantly see that I was only like a couple 100k XP away from 91 smithing. So for the most part, I tried this North Island strat. And this actually gave me decent amount of success. A lot of the PKers are on the south side, so even if somebody does, see you, a lot of times you can get the log out before they're able to look up and actually click on you. And that sort of takes me to just in general, how I spent my time doing this and how I managed to run into as little peak errors as possible and escape most of them. So essentially, my general schedule has been that I've been trying to telegrab as much as I can on weekday nights, and then do the superheating with the nature runes that I get on the weekends. Now, this is kind of because, in terms of just the general people who play RuneScape, and especially the ones that are going to be PKing on the American worlds, I found that it's mostly American and European people. And so by doing it on weekday nights, I noticed that, a lot of Americans have worked in the morning, and so they're not PKing as late. And a lot of the Europeans, it'll be like the middle of the night, like 2 to 4 a.m. for them, so not many of them are on for a weekday. So I found that that's the best time, and usually when I was playing on those days, I would really only run into maybe one or two PKers over a 2-hour session. About 2 hours, since that's how long it took for me to hit the hop limit, and that's usually how long I went per night when I was playing actively. And so that gave me a decent amount of success. Um, and of course, every time I world hop, I'd make sure that I would try to keep the mouse pretty close to being able to either hit another world to hop to, or the logout button, just in case somebody appeared. For the most part, I was able to get the insta log or the quick logout on most of the PTers that I saw there. Just kind of giving a quick breakdown of the people I ran into. About 2 or so actual teams managed to get the click on me. Now these are people who, they had a group of like 3, or I think the first team had 3 people, the second team had 5 people. And they were very prepared, like they knew exactly which tile I was standing on. They knew to like make sure to get me. The one risky thing about the north side island strat is that you are further away from singles than you are in the southern side, so you do need to be prepared for that. Unfortunately, I didn't get recordings of either of those PK attempts, or really any PK attempts in general, but I was able to get to singles, blew through a lot of food, blew through a lot of prayer, but I was able to escape. Um, Both teams chased me down to 20 wilderness, but even in the one case where with the 5-person team that got really close, I still had like I think 3 pizzas and most of my energy pot left and some prayer points left by that time I hit 20 wilderness. So even if they had hit the telegrab or the teleblock on me, I still would have made it to ditch. So that gave me a lot of confidence, because surviving those 2 teams, sure, it's annoying when it happens and it gets the heart racing and you get all stressed out. But knowing that I could survive teams like that, it gave me a lot more confidence to keep going. Knowing that like anything less than that, I would pretty much have no problem. And that's sort of what the case was. Besides those guys, there were probably 4 or 5 PKers that were just individuals. That honestly, you can't even call them PKers. They're more like raggers, because you know that they're not going to kill you, and they know that they're not going to kill you, but they chase you down the 20 wilderness anyway. Or, the one dude who telegrabbed me and chased me all the way to the ditch. And like, I survived with plenty of food and plenty of prey. It was just more annoying than anything. But yeah, and then besides those guys, there were probably about 10 or 15 or so people that I would see over time that I would get the insta log on. Um, But yeah, this method's not too bad. I was getting about 280 to 310 telegrabs an hour, so that's about 11 to 1200 nature runes per hour doing this north side strat. And yeah, it was a decent method overall. I did get to see some sort of funky things. I have a couple clips of, like, there's one guy here who I think he was like a bot or like a noob that was telegrabbing, and a PK was killing him. And I leave an alt account up there, because whenever I'm able to insta log, I log on to my alt account just to like see who's there and like I can chat with them and kind of talk to them and stuff. There were a few times where like I would chat with the PKers and just see what's up with them, see what they're up to, the kind of luck they have. Most of the people up there, they're hunting the bots, so they know that they're not going to be able to beat one of the high-level Iron Man characters there unless they have a team to back them up. But yeah, shout out to this one guy here who's killing a bot. I found this other guy who was doing this really Chad strategy of AFKing the greater demons and leaving prey on because of the ruins right there, like restore prey or whatever. So that was an interesting strategy. But yeah, definitely a lot of weirdness going on up there. So as I mentioned, with the weekends being a bit too crowded with PKers, and every time I would survive an attempt and have to eat a decent amount of food, I didn't want to go back up again immediately. So I would usually spend those times using up my nature runes to superheat. Now I have two methods that I was doing, and that was with 20 inventory spaces and 23 inventory spaces. The reason why it's so few is because I didn't want to get rid of my telegrabbing gear just because I was too lazy to like sell it all and then get it all back. And especially I didn't want to have to remake another energy potion because that would usually be pretty annoying. So yeah, this is somewhat of an inefficient method, but because I wasn't doing it for very long, I didn't really care too much about it. Now, 20 and 23 inventory spaces, they're about the same with this method in terms of XP rates, at least from what I was getting. The 20 inventory spaces is nice because you can just make the 4 plate bodies, you don't have to click the anvil a second time, and you're running over to the anvil more often. 23 inventory spaces, you do have to make an extra 3-bar item. For me, it was kite shields. The method, the 23 might be a touch more XP an hour, but you know, it's extra time you have to spend, so I'm kind of up in the air about which one I liked more, which one I liked less, but overall, it was a good way to get rid of the nature runes as I was, getting them from telegrabbing. And I know I definitely didn't want to do it all at once because I didn't want to waste, or I didn't want to risk having like 30,000 or 40,000 nature runes all at once. So it was nice to be able to come down here and get some smithing gains over time, including 90 smithing at one point, which is nice because now I don't have to boost for the rune scimitar. But yeah, it was just kind of a balance of jumping between this and telegrabbing, which I couldn't get as much playtime in as usual, but and it was very restrictive. But I was getting gains, so I was happy about that. So after several weeks of doing this kind of balance between doing the telegrabbing on days where it was mostly safe to do and superheating when it was a weekend or it wasn't safe to do, I finally did hit the nature runes that I would need to get 91 smithing. And once I had that, I just wanted to get rid of the last law runes that I had as fast as possible, which wasn't that many. So I did end up coming down to the usual south side of the Nature Rune Islands. And just a couple days ago, on the 8th, I was finally able to complete my telegrabbing goal and getting rid of my entire law stack. And of course, I did have to pose for the photo. I wanted to recreate, in a way, the photo that Nate K had when he finished up his telegrabbing. Though, of course, in mine, I only had 3,200 nature runes, and I think in his, he had 110,000 nature runes. If I find that photo, I'll throw it up around here now. But anyway, I could have left one law rune for the Varrock Telly, just in case like a team logged in or something right around this point. But I thought it'd be a much cleaner look to just get rid of the law runes in general. Which wasn't that smart because I should have kept like 2 or 3 just for like teleporting around because it was annoying having to walk all the way over to Falador after this. But yeah, it felt good, and I will not be telegrabbing for a very long time, hopefully. And so with telegrabbing over, I was able to get rid of the rest of my telegrabbing gear, including all the defensive gear and my energy potion. And with just the nature runes, the hammer, and the pickaxe, with me, of course, carrying the fire staff, I was finally able to have a fully efficient 25 inventory space to do the superheating with. And so because I had like the clean inventory, I figured that I would give snow a try because right now the actual meta for doing this is with snow and doing a bit of tick manipulation. I think in Tanardino's hour record or Terrathrone's hour record, both of them are doing snow and they're getting about 32.1k EXP an hour. So I figured, just with the couple thousand nature runes I had left, that I was gonna give it an honest college try of learning this method and trying to get it right. And it's actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. I ended up having to, really try to figure out like when to time the snow, how to, really click the rocks right, how to make sure I wasn't clicking too early or too late. I never ended up learning it completely, but I was able to get some somewhat decent rates. I was getting around 25 to 26k doing it with all my telegrabbing gear and the less efficient inventory. And doing it with snow, I didn't get the greatest clips of it, but I was able to get around 28 and a half k, which is definitely a decent increase over the inefficient method. I wasn't able to get any of the really big like 30k rates like that, but that's just because I didn't have that many nature runes, so I didn't really have that much time to really learn the method properly. So maybe in the future, when I come back, I'll try to be a bit more efficient and I'll try to learn the really good methods. But for now, just a couple, just yesterday really, I was finally able to finish up the last of my nature runes. And with that, I will have a clean inventory. Now I'm going to have to sell the pickaxe and all that. But with that, I am done, essentially. It's been about a year and a year and 2 months, I think, since I finished 99 range at Odris's. So it feels really good to have nice, clean inventory and to get started at Boneyard. So I just got here. This is going to be my home for the next couple weeks or months or however long this takes me. I just got here, so I'm still trying to figure out just some of the basics of this method. Right now I'm just like configuring my camera. I'm trying to figure out how to walk and bury the bones at the same time so I don't have to stop every time I bury them. I've been studying a lot of Tanardino's videos. This is going to take me a little while, but I do want to get good at this method so that I can get some decent XP rates. The meta is double hopping, but I've never really liked double hopping. I've never really been able to do it right, so we'll see. I'm going to be single hopping for now, but maybe it's similar to telegrabbing where I just have to do it. I just have to figure it out and be able to complete it. So yeah, this is where I'm going to be until 80. I don't quite have a clean inventory. I don't want to get rid of this Jester tape yet. I'm sort of hoping that I can make it to 80 without any PKers actually showing up here. But we'll see. I've also got this Ring of Forging that I've had on me for a while. It's mostly just fashion tape. I'm happy to get rid of it at any point. But yeah, this is where I'll be, and I will probably not make a video, at least another progress video until then, until I get to 80 prayer. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for sticking around, and I guess what I'll end off on is that I've started to stream a lot more recently now and a lot more frequently. I'm sort of on a grind with like me, Zypher, and Plu, and we've all been streaming a lot more often, showing off the free-to-play UIM content. So yeah, I'll make sure that there's a link to my Twitch in the description or whatever. So definitely feel free to come and check me out, and definitely feel free to check out the other free-to-play streamers as well. Actually, the free-to-play clan is hosting a 12 days of streaming event that's going to be coming up next week. A bunch of free-to-play streamers are going to be involved. Also, that's happened recently is that Terrathrone or Automology has created a Twitch team, which I don't know too much about, but essentially it's like a team of like all the big free-to-play content creators that stream on Twitch. So definitely give that a check. Check that out. I'll try to throw a link to that as well. And yeah, thank you again, everyone, and keep up the gains.